kicked off in Japan, a country built on contrasts. Glass towers dripping neon, then one train later, wooden houses standing quiet. Bullet trains blur past rice fields. Vending machines glow on their temples older than memory. I chase those opposites. City lights in crowded places, mountain shadows and peaceful atmospheres. Old and new, sharing the same frame. Mount Fuji reminded me why I love this mountain so much. You can really feel its power from every corner of the tiny villages that surround it. Fuji blushed pink, while Tokyo still blinked far behind. Japan taught me you can hold two worlds at once, and I knew the rest of my film had to do the same. Flying to New Zealand turned the dial to full color. Friends, mountains, waterfalls, laughter. Brooding Milford Sound under the rain felt like diving into a postcard. Well, true love. Cold and wet weren't there anymore. Life flipped bright and white, somewhere between a folk song and a cheesy romance. High on the joy, Earth was feeling incredibly beautiful. It was time for another adventure. Welcome to the planet of Bolivia. Red volcanoes, geysers hissing, salt flats as wide as blown highlights. At 4,000 meters, every breath reminds you how small and alive you are. When sunset torched the clouds orange and cyan, I realized space movies aren't science fiction, they're more like location scouting. And after a hell of a time, it was time to change the type of soundtracks, animals, and color palette. It was time to chase animals. Welcome to Africa. Filming wildlife is pure joy, and doing it for work in Namibia with my closest friends felt unreal. We rolled out every day before sunrise, tires carving ripples in the red sand, so all the sky shifted from black to bright orange. Lions hiding in tall grass at dawn, herds of elephants moving. Rain returned like memory, and Namibia was as green as we could ever be. Then, Cape Town, a city I hold dear in my heart. Penguins and tuxes, cliffs dropping into the deep blue, fiery ocean and winds, the city that has it all. Africa, home to all of us, though felt like home to me. Camera buzzing and heart full. Good thing I soaked up the heat. Next stop was the exact opposite of warm. Patagonia's winter doesn't whisper, it slams the door. Sideways snow, frozen fingers, batteries quitting early. We came for the pumas. When one stepped out of the storm, every cold hour paid off. But deep down, it was more than that. We came for the quiet pool, that feeling you get when you're exactly where you're meant to be. After all that cold, I needed green hills and blue skies so I could feel more alive. Somewhere in the Alps was the reset button. Coming, the dogs, and the feeling of adventure. Cozy nights, wildflowers everywhere, glacier air in our lungs. The moments I have been dreaming for so long finally came to life. For once, I hit record and I didn't need to tweak a thing. My film was the exact way I wanted it to be. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Honestly, it means the world that you stuck around until the end. This video came together with Dehancer, which is basically a color grading plugin, super easy to use with whatever platform you're using to edit your videos. And if you're after that film look, it's honestly a game changer. I would love to hop into my computer now to show you how it works and a few before and afters of this film. I promise it's gonna be worth it. And again, thank you for watching and let's dive into details. Okay, so this is my final timeline with all the clips, all the sound effects, everything's colored and everything's ready to go. And the idea with this part of the video is not necessarily to do a full tutorial of Dehancer, and just to show you a few quick tips on how to color grade your footage. So I have separated a few clips on a different timeline, a few clips that I really like from this movie. And I wanted to show a little bit of the before and after and what I did to achieve this kind of looks. So let's jump into this one first. Let's go to the color page. And Dehancer basically works as a single node tree kind of workflow. Everything you need is going to be inside one single node instead of like building a very big node tree. This is cool. It's cleaner, and personally I really like to have all my settings here on the side. I can open the image quite big to color, and I really like this. I have way more space to see my footage big, especially when traveling and you don't have a big monitor. So Dehancer works as like a plugin where, let's go back to the timeline and let's get this raw video. So first you create a base node, right? And then you just put Dehancer onto it. And the first thing you need to do is define your input source. So here, you're basically going to choose your camera. Then you have all the major brands and all the major models. So I'm shooting with the FX3. So I'm just going to find it here, Cinemaline FX3. And you choose the format that you shoot. Normally shoot in Cine S-Log3, S-Gamma3 Cine. Okay, so this is basically bringing your footage from log to Rec 709. So you don't need another file or anything else. You just can do it straight from Dehancer. You literally have like all the cameras you want from all the big vendors in the market. So here, it's where it gets really fun, right? You have literally all the films you can think of here. And this is really cool to play around. But before I put any film, we need to choose the print, okay? So the print, you have basically these four options, and they're gonna bring you a little subtle differences. Normally the industry would go with the Kodak 2383, which is like a legendary film print used in many movies. But if you're looking for maybe a colder look, we can go with this, with the Fuji, or this Kodak Endura glossy paper. But the industry standard is kind of this Kodak, and to be honest, it's the one I love the most. During my film, especially in the Patagonia section, I used the Fujifilm 3513 for colder scenes. And then here we can play around with the films. The color is actually really accurate when it comes to the original film, which is really amazing because it saves you a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money as well. Shooting on film, it's extremely expensive. And here you can really emulate those colors like perfectly. So here we just choose the film that we like. I used a bunch of different films in my movie. In the beginning of every chapter, you have the film and the print. So if you're keen to try it on your footage, you can try as well. So in Japan, I used the Kodak Vision 3 500T. So Kodak Vision. I use this one, okay? And that's where it gets fun. Let's open this big. My shortcuts is Shift F for this. I'm not sure if it's the standard or just my keyboard, but it's Shift F. In here you have basically all the tools to use to boost the look of your film. So we have exposure, compensation, tints, basically. This is basically your white balance here. And you have crazy amount of tools that you can work with. I'm gonna show you a little bit of my favorites. For this one, I'd like to go with a warmer look, so just bump the temperature a little bit. And since this is kind of like a night scene and it wasn't too much of a nighttime, I'm gonna bring my exposure down to kind of simulate that effect. Here you can push-pull the film according to your needs. I'm gonna make it a little bit warmer and more contrast. Here's the film developer, film compression. You have an infinite amount of tools that you can use. I'm going to enable these two and play with a little bit. Basically, this is your contrast, gamma correction. And here is honestly just about trying and figuring out what you like the most. Just playing around with the sliders and see what everyone will do. Because the names are different from our usual sliders. So white point, it's basically bringing the highlights down. You can see here how it brings, but the name is just a little bit different. So it might take you a few days or a few weeks to get used to the new names, right? This is black point and white point. This is basically the heart of your color grading. It's gonna see is the basic your blacks and your whites, right? So you can generate a lot of contrast with these two, and it's pretty cool that you can enable and disable to see what you've done. Let's bring the contrast a little bit down. It's a little bit too much. And then here is also really fun. You can really change the type of print. So target white is basically like a film white balance, exposure, contrast, color density. So you can really play around with these tools and see how it looks. Color head is where you would add color in your video. It's kind of like your log wheels, for example. So let's say the shadows, you want them a little bit colder or you want them a little bit warmer. The highlights, the same. Midtones, and this, it's basically to change the overall color of your scene. So again, just a lot of different functions to color grade your movie. Film grain, you can choose many types of presets for film grain and you can adjust as well according to your need. You see this is disabled and enabled and you can play around. The same with halation in this scene, which is pretty cool. You can really see the red in the highlights, which brings an amazing atmosphere to this night scene. Really cool. Bloom is another tool that I really love. You can see how the highlights just pop with the bloom, bringing it's kind of like a dehaze in your highlights. You see that the shadows don't change, just the highlights, which kind of simulates an effect of like a pro mist filter would do. Then again, this is not a big tutorial on Dehancer, but I just wanted to show how Dehancer works and how powerful it is. So this is basically your whole color correction. You just need this node. And then what I normally do, if I want something more specific, let's go back, let's show my clips here. For example, for this, I corrected the grade that I like. And what Dehancer doesn't have, that you can also have on DaVinci, is like masking and sharpening or changing just a few colors. So here what I did, I just popped the oranges a little bit for that sunset vibe. I took the blues down. I mean, you can just play around creating extra nodes. Let's jump into this one, for example. So let's disable all of the nodes. So this is my grade with Dehancer, for example. And this, I created another node to basically pop. You can really see here, basically pop that orange and that warm color. And this, it's basically just a masking tool just to make this part a little bit brighter and a little bit more sharp. So again, very minor adjustments besides the main node of your color grading. Let's jump into a few more. I'm not gonna go full in all of them, but just to show you a few before and afters, and to really show you what you can do with this program, which is so powerful. For this one, which is the Bolivia part, I really wanted to do something like Mars, so really warm. So I probably went heavy here in the red part of the color head and the tone of the shadows as well, to really play with that like extraterrestrial or Mars look. This is the same. This, I really like this grade. Can really change. You can see the black point really makes a difference here in those shadows, and like just one slider can change your footage so much. And something that I actually can achieve with Dehancer, that I can achieve, but it's very different to achieve with the main DaVinci color system, is those very deep blacks. And I feel like with this too, I can really get closer to like the perfect black. Yeah, it's just very powerful to have those really cool blacks. The same for this one. In DaVinci, I would get to something maybe like this, but with Dehancer, I can really push those blacks down to create this beautiful black. And this is another example of like how you can color grade first, and then you use your masks and your different nodes to kind of like enhance that edit. So let's take this off. So first the grade, and then what I did here is just basically a selection on the Puma just to give it a little bit of pop. And here I changed the blue as well. It was too blue. I wanted something more white. Then here I basically put the cyan down. You can see the difference that this makes. And in the Dehancer, you can't really adjust the colors individually. And here another node just to add a little bit of sharpness to the cat. Here another grade that I really like. And this is basically all here in the exposure and compensation. If I turn this off, you can see that this is not a cold and dark scene, but basically just bringing this down and bringing this down, you can really create a very beautiful cold look. And this last clip that I show you, I really love this grading. It feels like, honestly, feels like a movie. I love the grain, I love the colors, the log footage. I mean, of course, in log it's very gray, but you can really bring these colors up and create like a solid film look. And yeah, I think that's it for this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed Dehancer and how it works. There is a discount if you want to get Dehancer and try it out. I'll leave the code in the description of this video. And again, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure to do this, and I'm very excited for future projects with this plugin. See you next time.